It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, folks, for 140 years, Reading Anthracite has been providing energy for not only northeastern Pennsylvania, but all over the world. Now, why is that so important? Well, coal, folks, is extremely important today in our energy situation that we have in the country. Now, Reading Anthracite and West Spring Energy is having something very unique on March 31st. It's going to be their Community Day, and we're going to talk a lot about that a little later on in the show. But today, folks, we're going to have a little education on anthracite coal. What does it mean? What has Reading Anthracite and West Spring Energy done for not only our community, but all over the world? My guest today is Jeff Gleam. He's the Director of Operations for Reading Anthracite. And, you know, first of all, born and raised in northeastern Pennsylvania, Jeff, my father and my uncle were involved in the trucking industry, worked with Baisley Coal Company, saw the big shovels, and, you know, you grew up in that area. And that was a way of life for us. So we're very accustomed to, I used to pick coal, in fact, and screen coal if I didn't pick coal or screen coal, we didn't have any heat for the winter. With that being said, Reading Anthracite, a well-known name for 140 years, you're employing over 150 people, which means that you're taking care of over, 600, 700 people that live with these families, which I think is a tribute. Now, let's talk about anthracite coal first, before we get into the new technology you have here, which is unbelievable. Anthracite coal, a little bit history about that.
Well, anthracite is a fossil fuel, and it fueled industry and this country for decades back in the day where, as we said earlier, 140 years back. And during those years, there was years that went by where there was hundreds of millions of tons that were mined and shipped all across the country and the eastern. It fueled this country, is what it did, and it fueled industry. And as evolution came by and went by, anthracite got a chance to move into different applications and different usages. I think you'd be surprised at some of the usages that anthracite goes into.
And going back to coal, okay, we were having some preliminary discussions, and when people, like I said, people who are born in this area, they know what it's all about, okay? But when you look at, when you talk about coal in the big cities, people who are not around coal, I know my good friend John Rich and I, one time we were in Philadelphia, we were working on some project. In fact, this coal to fuel plant, we were talking about that, and talking to some of the news reporters there in the Philadelphia Inquirer, we mentioned coal. Oh, you get like a look like, oh, environmental, they're just ripping up the ground, there's, you know, all kind of pollution, and, you know, then you have to go back and give them a history. So how is, you know, to give a view that coal isn't a bad word, you know, and we're talking about environmental concerns. I think, well, you tell them what you have to do.
It's not what it was 125 years ago. Our industry has changed dramatically. You can see just on this property alone, and for the most part, it's clean and tidy. We're monitored by a number of agencies, state agencies, federal agencies, safety agencies. We're mandated and required to reclaim any land that we strip. In fact, you can go around to our different areas. You'll see ball fields, you'll see tree farms, you'll see nice mountainside, fresh grass. That's the way the industry operates anymore. In those areas that were mined, they're now put back to where they were.
So when we're looking at, right now, you need a strip, of course, you need to, you know, get the coal, but you have all these regulations. I guess there's bonding and there's securities that you have to guarantee that when you do rip, you have to go back and fill. Is that the way it works?
Absolutely. You got to put the ground back to a similar contour of what it was before you started to mine. Sam.
Most importantly, Jeff, okay, we have said this so many times. John Rich has been on my show with congressmen, and we've talking about energy and how very important it is. We're sitting on an abundance of energy in this country. More coal than the state of Pennsylvania could be turned into fuel than they have oil in Saudi Arabia. And I scratch my head all the time when I think of this, because it's not a hard thing to do, but sometimes we have a government, sometimes that feel that fossil fuels are a dirty word, okay? How do we change the minds of people, indicating that we have an abundance of energy here?
Well, first of all, there's an abundance, Sam. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of millions of tons in reserves. Number two, education. We need to, people, unfortunately, the image comes from many decades back, where unfortunately there might have been some of that image. It has changed dramatically. It really has. It's all part of educating, exposing the people, getting the public out there, like we're going to be doing for Community Day. We're excited about Community Day. It's going to give us a chance to open our doors and hope that we get 1,000, 2,000 people. Right now, I can tell you we have at least a few hundred. It's going very well, and it's going to give these people a chance to come out. They're going to visit this property here. We're going to visit a mine site, and that's going to help along the education.
Staying along that line, okay, when we're going to talk about that Community Day, which I think is extremely amazing, because it gives another perspective. Okay, I'm all for education, Jeff. I'm all for educating people as to what we're doing in terms of anthracite. Not only employment, but Brian Rich, who is the president of Reading Anthracite, and the family, Jack Rich, God rest his soul, and they have done many things to improve, okay, in northeastern Pennsylvania. But when you're looking at energy, it's something that is so very important. As we see today, gas prices, and people are saying, why are these gas prices high? And I sit back and say to myself, if only we would have taken our resources 10, 12, 15 years ago, taken that coal and made it into fuel, we wouldn't be having these prices today. And it's that simple. So with that being said, you know, we're clearing up the image of coal and being, you know, all kind of dirty stuff, and as you said, clean. When we come back, I want to talk about what we're talking about, new technology, okay? And then leading into this Community Day, which I think is fantastic. Folks, I'm here on location at the new St. Nicholas plant. Is it the breaker, right?
Yes, correct.
And it's outside of Pottsville, Pennsylvania, one of many. And as you can see, a lot of activity. Everything's cleaned up. It's beautiful, folks, and it's an opportunity for us to learn about anthracite coal. We should embrace it and move forward in the energy field, because we have the abundance here. I'll be back with Jeff Gleam right after these messages. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show. Remember, folks, 24/7 SSPTV.com. You can watch any of our shows, and we certainly want to welcome all of the new Schuylkill County residents on our new system. Thank you so much for the kind words. And remember, my email is sam@ssptv.com. But check us out on the website. You'll see our local news and all of the breaking news that we have to offer to you. I am on location, folks, at the new St. Nicholas breaker right outside of Pottsville, Reading Anthracite. And Spring Energy is having a Community Day on March 31st, which I think is fabulous. I'm here with Jeff Gleam, who is the Director of Operations for Reading Anthracite, and we'll talk a little bit about that Community Day. But the first part of the show, we talked about anthracite coal, the abundance we have, and how we should be embracing it. And of course, for those many hundreds of thousands of families that are able to survive because of coal, they know the story. But here, we got a plant over here. Tell us about the technology of what we have in this plant versus what it was before many years ago.
Well, this new St. Nicholas plant, which is behind us, we actually renovated this plant about 3 years back, and it's a very efficient plant. It's a very plant that we can run about 1,200 tons a day through, and the yield on that's about 600 ton of product. And the coal gets cleaned very well in these plants anymore. It's very effective, very efficient, and this plant has done very well for us on uptime and all that good stuff.
So what does that mean when you say, you know, what does it mean when you're saying uptime and the amount? Does that mean that you can service more of the companies that you deal with? And who are the companies that use this coal? And I mentioned before that also you do export a lot of coal, right?
Yeah, some of our businesses export, that's correct. And we service a number of customers. This plant here versus our other plant is more industrial oriented. We do some heating coal out of here as well, but one of the products we make here are used in the charcoal industry, used in the steel industry. We also make products that's also used in the zinc business, in the PCI application, which is pulverized coal injection, which accelerates steel making. So these are the products that this plant makes here.
And when you're bringing the coal in, okay, the raw coal, you said strip, then it comes into here, and it's.
Yes, we have a crushing system here
in this area, this plant.
Right here at this operation. It's up the yard a little ways, and what it does, it takes that raw coal material. We crush it down to a sizing that fits what we want it to fit. So we're feeding this plant at a 3/4 by 0, that's where we want to be. We get the most efficiency by putting throughput in at that size and configuration to make the products that needed to be made at this plant.
Now, when I was a young boy, which was only about 10 years ago, I had I would have with the screener. We had buckwheat, we had rice, different I guess dimensions of the coal, right?
Yes.
But I also knew that when we would get this coal, it was the quality of the coal. Sometimes you would have maybe combustion 60–70% of the coal. It all depends how clean the coal was or where it came from. So what kind of coal do you get here?
Well, that's a good point, Sam, because it all has to do with cleanliness, and it also has to do with the quality of coal. You need both, but here we can go both ways. We can make a 70% fixed carbon. We can also make an 85% fixed carbon.
And how is that?
Well, it all has to do in the flotation process, which is monitored. It's monitored. It's created by a combination of magnetite and water, which creates a gravity, and we can dictate that. So if we need to make a lower ash, we can make a lower ash, which gives you a higher fixed carbon, and vice versa. If we wish to make a higher ash, it will be a lower fixed carbon.
As I look around here, you mentioned about something, and I find this interesting, Sammy. If you just want to take a shot of just turn the camera around and look at that truck over there, okay? And you're going to see here again, they have the, when you talk about cleanliness and you talk about environment, protecting the environment with the screens on top so the coal doesn't, you know, is not flying all over the highways or whatever. That's one of many precautions, I think, that happens in this industry, and believe me, sometimes safer than some of those trucks that are going down the road that do not have the scrutiny that Anthracite has. So here again, looking at you know, the environment and the protection, I think the Anthracite area pays much more attention to protecting our environment and our streets than any company that I know of.
Much, by far, Sam. You're absolutely correct. We take pride. We take pride in our housekeeping. We take pride in doing things right, and we do them right. You know, there's nothing hidden here. We do it right.
And so when you're looking at this Community Day on March 31st, put it on your calendars. Tell me about that Community Day and what is going to happen that day.
Well, as I said earlier, Sam, we're excited about it. We've done this a couple times before. It's been a few years since we've done it. As we said earlier about educating, and not only that, letting people know who we are, what we do, how we do it, where we are, you know. So we are now in the process of advertising on the radio, we're advertising with you, we're advertising in newspapers. We're guessing somewhere probably between 1,000, 1,500, maybe 2,000, we're not sure, but we're looking at a good turnout. everyone's going to come to this facility. They're going to get a chance to walk around the property a little bit. We're going to have some good size equipment on display.
What kind of equipment will you have here?
Well, here at this operation, we'll probably have some of our loaders. We'll probably have a dozer. We might have a drill. We'll definitely have one of our larger cat trucks here on display. We're also going to get a chance to, we're going to have some giveaways, some drawings. We're going to let them have if they want something to eat, something to drink, they have the right to do here as well. We're going to load them up in buses. And then
will they be able to go see the breaker?
We're going to pretty well just let them visually go through instead of going through the plant, they'll just visually see it from pretty well where we're standing, but we're going to we're going to have a presentation.
Okay, good.
We're going to present to them what they're looking at and how this plant operates. Okay. So you see in the background right now, there's a railroad coming up on our property. We have a rail siding facility on the back side of the plant, and we load quite a few rail cars here.
So the rail cars are coming in, and then they're shipped out to different places throughout?
They're shipped to the port. Yeah. They go down to the port of Baltimore, maybe to the port of Fearless Hills. Yeah.
So for my education, okay, the hard coal comes in here, gets cracked up, yep. Then you get rice, you get wheat, and
different sizes, yes.
How many sizes do you do at this plant?
Here, right now, we're only doing 3. We are considering possibly making a 4th and a 5th. That's on the drawing boards. That's one of the reasons we have this piece of framework up here. That's going to be some retail pockets where it's going to give us the a chance to do a couple more different sizes as well. And at the other plant that we have up in Gerardville, Sam, we actually make 9 sizes up there. So yes, we.
So then you have the big shovel. Yes. We're going to talk about that when we come back of our break. Folks, I'm talking to Jeff Gleam, who is the Director of Operations for Reading Anthracite. Would you believe it, 140 years Reading Anthracite's been around, you know, the king of coal in our area, but it's not only servicing northeastern Pennsylvania, but servicing energy throughout the world. It is a viable substance. It's a very important energy factor, and it's something I think the entire country should start embracing instead of turning away from, including our people, our friends in Washington. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show. Thanks for staying with us. I'm on location, folks, at the new Nicholson Breaker here outside of Pottsville. Reading Anthracite and West Spring Energy is having a community day on March 31st. It's something you really got to go to, folks. It's going to be a great education. I'm here with Jeff Gleam, who is the Director of Operations for Reading Anthracite. And I have to say, I have to applaud Brian Rich, who is the President of Reading Anthracite, John Rich, Mike, and what they've done in providing the thousands of jobs and what the investment they have made for not only this area, but for helping people all over the world. Absolutely, Sam.
You were talking a little earlier about education and Brian and his family. You're talking about educators, you're talking about leaders. Brian Rich and his family, that's the definition of leaders and people. They have not only led this industry to a new resurgence here in recent times, but they have diversified. I mean, between not only the coal companies, the other sister companies, there's also a spin-off of jobs. You know, you said earlier that there's maybe 150 jobs here at Reading Anthracite. That's not counting the truck drivers, the service stations, the tire people, all the equipment people. I mean, it's a spin-off. It truly is.
Without question. And the thing is, you know, when you look at investments today, you know, it takes a lot of moxie. It takes you know, to continue to invest. Not hundreds of thousands of dollars, but millions of dollars, okay? New technology in a plant, okay? Providing these jobs, but also energy that we so desperately need in this country. Now we're talking about this brand new shovel. Yes. So let's talk about this shovel, which costs not $550,000, but in the millions of dollars, okay? What's the story about this shovel?
Well, once the people get a chance to see here, now we're going to get them on a bus. We're going to go on the road. About 25, 30 minutes from here, we're going to hit our new mine site, which is the West Spring Energy. We opened up a few months ago. All new equipment, including a PC 4000 Komatsu shovel, 29 cubic yard bucket, and talking about capital investment. That's capital investment, Sam. You're talking a few $1 million.
When this shovel, it was assembled here?
Yes, some of it came in place, but we had to do some assembling. Yes.
It's humongous.
Yes.
Now the shovel itself is 24 cubic feet, right?
29.
29.
Yes.
So one scoop of coal, would provide what for one household?
Well, each scoop that bucket picks up is almost 30 ton.
Wow! Can you?
Yeah. So
that's
no, and you know, we're excited. I said this phrase before, and I'm saying it again. The people in our community are going to get a chance to not only get to visit the site. We might not be able to get them real close to that shovel, but we'll get them close enough that they can get a picture taken with the shovel in the background. Also at that site, we'll have another display of another few pieces of equipment. There'll be a presentation made up there as well. And then they get to enjoy the bus ride back here and get a little gift bag before they leave us for the day.
I'd like to meet the operator of that shovel. I mean,
yes.
he or she has to be really trained to do that.
Yes, you just don't take somebody off the street.
At one time, Jeff, I was talking about many years ago in the Hazel Township area, in Latimer and Pardeesville, there was Baisley Company, and they had this big shovel, was a drag shovel.
Drag line?
Drag line,
Yep.
okay. And it was when it moved, it actually walked. It, was one of those kind of walk. You remember that?
Yep.
And but that would go down and rip up. Now this is a front end, right?
Yes. Yes.
And
yes.
what's the difference?
Well, once again, they come a long ways here with efficiency and modernizing ways of digging and excavating. And these excavators today, I mean, the features on them are just tremendous. Yeah. They really are.
When we talk about technology, it's amazing. So just to summarize here, folks, I'm here on location at the New Nicholson breaker outside of Pottsville with Jeff Gleam, who is the Director of Operations for Redding Anthracite. And on March 31st, they're having a community day, which is Redding Anthracite in conjunction with West Spring Energy, and to be able to educate you here, come here to see all the equipment, then getting on a bus and going to see West Spring and this fabulous shovel, which is unbelievable, as you can see on the screen. And it's only a matter of educating you about what anthracite's all about. It's clean, it's efficient. It's, again, I know there are some concerns sometimes when you do not know about something, but when you learn about what anthracite could do, and what Brian Rich, John Rich, Mike Rich, and they've all done, their families have done, made tremendous investments, not only to protect our environment, but also to provide thousands of jobs. It's just gratifying to see that. I would only hope that we would be able to expand on our coal industry, and it seems to be coming around a little bit.
Yes, there's been a resurgence, Sam, there has been, and it's on the domestic side as well as the out across the overseas.
So Jeff, let me ask you a question, okay? I'm not going to be political by no means. Many people know the way I stand. We have enough energy here to supply. Do you think that the attitude of Washington, because some people think fossil fuels are a dirty word, okay, carbon's a dirty word. Do you think that if the more they become educated to anthracite, they will see a resurgence and people saying we have all of this energy in the state of Pennsylvania, we have more coal that we can turn into fuel than all the oil in Saudi Arabia, and keeping our money here and our jobs here.
Keeping our job as a home.
Yes.
I mean, may it be the state of Pennsylvania, may it be coming out of Washington, D.C. We should keep jobs here, and we have a fuel that works. Anthracite's a very clean source of fuel.
Yeah.
Very low in volatiles, very low in sulfurs. It's a clean fuel.
Your website is reddinganthracite.com?
Yes.
Go to their website, you'll learn more about it, and the more you'll learn, folks, the more you'll understand why it is so important, not only for our economy, but for providing jobs and keeping our tax dollars here instead of us spending billions of dollars to people who actually hate us. It's interesting. Jeff, thank you so much.
No, thank you, Sam, for giving me the time opportunity.
Congratulations to John Rich, Brian Rich, Michael Rich, the entire Rich family for continuing on what they're doing in our area here, investing their time and their resources to keep a lot of families working and keeping them paying their bills, but not only that, providing energy that's so desperately needed in our country. I'm Sam Lesante. We're on location here at the New Nicholson Breaker. Please come out March 31st, Community Day. It's going to be a fun day. We'll see you next time.